Energía baja, falta de concentración, niebla mental. You might be dehydrated. Gatorade Zero Powders han sido diseñados científicamente para ayudarte a mejorar el balance de hidratación en el cuerpo. Hechos con la mezcla número 1 de electrolitos, sin colores ni sabores artificiales. Shop now online or at retailers nationwide. Gatorade hydrates better than water. Is it in you? Signos de dehidratación leve y moderada. Consulta a tu médico si los síntomas persisten.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Welcome to Diz and Hers, the show about what's happening in the Disney community from his, hers, and your perspective. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Eric, and on today's show, we're talking about the infamous Peter Pan girl, and if the community was wrongfully attacking an eager fan, or if she is in the wrong. We also take a look at some viral posts regarding electric scooters in the theme parks.
All right, but before we get started, we want to remind you that Diz and Hers can be found on all your favorite podcast platforms and in video format on YouTube and Spotify. We'd love it if you could head over to Apple and leave us a quick rating or review. Let us know what you want to hear us talk about on an upcoming episode.
Yeah, and speaking of, we had no choice. Regardless if you wanted us to talk about it or not, the community was talking about this. We were, I think at first, I was in an airport. We were in an airport either coming back or going to D23, and all of this information about the Peter Pan girl. So for those who have not been on the internet and have not been hit with this on their various feeds, what's going on, and who is this Peter Pan girl?
All right, so Peter Pan girl does have a name. Her name is Tony, and this is happening over at Disneyland. So from what I understand, it's gone completely viral, and it's because she is repeatedly documenting her encounters with Peter Pan. And so what's happening is there's a lot of criticism online for what she's doing. And is it like crossing the line with Peter Pan? And then I think some cast members have come out and said that, they're a little bit uncomfortable with what's going on.
Yeah, so the characters that are playing Peter Pan have obviously they're like free range. They walk around. In Disneyland, it's a little different than Walt Disney World. Where Walt Disney World, you see some character experiences where they come out and maybe don't have as many attendants. There's not a standard line. Where in Disneyland, the characters come out and they play and they talk. And I was really shocked and surprised when we first went out there how cool that was. I was like, here's Pinocchio and Geppetto just kind of hanging out. And Peter Pan is known for just kind of frolicking along. So Tony, who is I think she's a TikToker. She documents a lot, but she kind of came under blast by a lot of the community saying that some of the experiences, you could tell the Peter Pan was feeling uncomfortable and these characters could not react or stop anything that made them feel uncomfortable. And I think that was the larger, bigger picture in which
it's not new though that she's been doing this. Like this says she's been posting like all the way back to 2015. I mean, folks, we're in 2026, so 11 years of posting about Peter Pan. But the latest video, right, is the one that got everybody talking.
I think that she made some type of creature. Was it a turtle, something like a crocheted thing, and gave it to Peter Pan. And there were some visual elements. There was some nonverbal communication that made everyone say, hey, look at this poor guy being harassed every day or every visit. And I don't know how much is true and what's not true because, I mean, she says, hey, I've only talked to him 7 times over the last 30 days or this or that. And then others are saying otherwise I don't know at this point in time. But when it first came out, lots of people were hammering on and saying Disney needs to tighten up their, I guess, security. And then a lot of people were saying, well, she's not doing anything wrong. She's just having, a normal conversations with a character just like anyone else, and that brings her joy. Since then, we've heard from fans, and we've also heard from her. She just did an interview, I think, with the New York Post that kind of talks. It's like, no, she's not a stalker in her eyes. It's just a matter of this is how she has her fun. But I think the first one I saw was this Nicholas Piff Peterson was basically posted, and this is where I started seeing it. It says, this girl has spent a full decade treating Disneyland Peter Pan like her personal Neverland boyfriend, showing up with the doll, full obsession routine every chance she gets. The viral video makes it painfully clear that the cast members are stuck in character while she refuses to take a single social cue. At some point, the magic has to end and the real world boundaries have to start. And I think that's where people started really pouring in. Lauren, have you ever heard of the Tab, the Facebook page or the tab.com, I'm guessing?
I have not.
They have been harassing me. They're harassing me because I clicked on one of the articles and now I get the tab like crazy. It's I'm a character being followed around by this. But I noticed that the tab just was picking this up. And here's another one that just says, she came to my line every single shift and I was Peter Pan. And it's just basically Peter Pan character that, someone that portrayed them and was kind of going through what the scenario was. But
and they were saying that says, I was Peter Pan at Disney World and my stalker's disturbing questions were only half of it. I'm like, what kind of disturbing question?
It's all clickbaity. Of course it's clickbaity because it was talking about a different Peter Pan and a different character and a different person. So we know that there are individuals that go and that is how they get their joy. They meet characters and they interact with characters and they bring them things and they start becoming friends. And this is a whole new little world that, that's a segment of the fandom have. And there are people attacking them, just like people attack all types of Disney adults or all types of fandoms in general. And then there are elements where all right, maybe you've taken it across the line. But
I think this also blew up because you don't get an interview with the New York Post just because you had one viral video.
Right.
This has really exploded. The one in particular was, I think, 24 million views. And now she's kind of making the media circuit because she's saying, I'm not doing anything wrong. She is married. And I think people were leaking her address, her employer, which is causing a lot of chaos, I guess, in her everyday life.
Yeah, I think and a lot of other characters were saying they felt a little uncomfortable, but she never really crossed that line, the personal boundaries. I do believe that one of them was saying and it might have been Tony, might not have been, but somebody was found her the character's family and followed the family around, and I'm like, that's not cool at all.
No. So I have to ask though. So I know you're familiar with Peter Pan syndrome, right? An actual mental challenge for some folks that causes a lot of immaturity because they never want to grow up. That's how the syndrome gets its name. And I was looking at it and it was you could have overprotective parents or neglect where you're always looking to reclaim your childhood. And so maybe I know that it's ironic that it's a Peter Pan syndrome and Peter Pan, but could it just be that she just that was her joy and
Yeah, I don't know enough about her to know if she has full all the other symptoms that would come along with it. I'm not growing up, not taking life serious. Does she do her own laundry? I'm sure she does.
She's married, she has a job.
Yeah, so I don't know if she has full Peter Pan syndrome, but there is, I think it's just one of those things where, like, I like to go and sit on Main Street and just listen to the music, and maybe she just likes to meet Peter Pan. Like, everybody has their own little joy, and
Right.
rightfully or wrongfully, the people are going after her. I think luckily, for her case. Now, granted, I don't think anybody deserves to be online bullied. Now, you also post online
No.
and you put yourself in a situation when you post anything online, you are going to open yourself up to criticism. So anybody has to be aware of that. If you're going to post every single day meeting Peter Pan, there will be people that find problems with that. But there were some definite social influencers or people in the community that came to back her up. I think the most notable was the Disney Scoop guy. He kind of came to her defense. Now, I know him mostly, and I think we might even saw him around D23. He always is wearing the Mickey glasses, the ones with the little Mickey sunglasses and bleached blonde hair. But he came on, I think, TikTok or Facebook saying, like, chill out. Like, she's not doing anything wrong. It is wrong. It says, I'm so glad the smart people are starting to see the truth behind the Peter Pan girl BS. It's truly the scummiest people on the internet calling Tony a stalker and making stalker jokes about Peter Pan. A lot of people coming out saying, hey, it's just a girl that this is what she does. If she crosses the line, that should be a thing. But for the most part, she is literally just meeting this guy for, Peter Pan for a couple minutes and going on with her day. And she posted online. Disney Dan came out supporting.
Wait a second
saying,
before
"Stop
Disney
bullying."
Dan. Before Disney Dan. So, I mean, but like, there are lots of people that have a favorite character in the park. I'm just going back to kind of the Disney Scoop guy and his point of view is like, you could be a huge fan of Figment or Minnie Mouse or anybody, right? And like want to go and get a photo and give them a gift and, you know,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think with the furries and versus face characters, I think what really troubled people was the face that these Peter Pans were making, like almost to the point where, like, hey, someone save me, and these characters are stuck in character and they can't get out of character. So if they are in harm's way, you would hear I did read, I didn't share any here, but horrifying stories about some of the princesses and what they have to endure with characters, the people that meet. And I imagine I think the larger picture here for a lot of it is, Disney, do you need to step up and have some type of safeguard for if a character is feeling in an awkward position where they need to get out of it, right?
right.
And I think that is a lot of it. And then what happened was that people went online and either bullied or gave their viral opinion on this girl, and that is what's causing a lot of the scuttlebutt in the conversations. So,
Okay, go back to Disney Dan though.
well,
'Cause
no,
this is
it's just funny. Disney Dan was one that came on there and just basically saying, "Hey, what we're doing is bullying somebody." Like, it's up to the characters in Disney to figure out if this girl should be, barred from meeting characters and so forth. And I think it comes to the character. Peter Pan needs to go talk to his authority or his superior and say, "Hey, this girl won't leave me alone. It's causing a disturbance to other people," which we don't know if that's the case. If she's
Right.
following him around and she won't let him meet other people, I think that would be a problem, right?
Okay, but bringing this personal for a second. So, when I was in probably late high school, early college, I was a waitress, and I had regulars that would
Right.
come every week, and they would sit in my section and they would come and see me, and you kind of build like a dialogue, a relationship, or whatever. How is this different than that? So, as a waitress, if I was uncomfortable, I would go to my manager and let them address it. Now, I never was like, you just like, oh, this is this person, this is what they have going on in their life. Like, it's about some comfort, you know?
Right. I think the
'Cause I
valid
like
point
this
is you
person.
as Lauren the waitress, if somebody said something inappropriate or you could get away, you could go to the back, where Peter Pan is Peter Pan and he's from Neverland and he knows Wendy. So if somebody would do something inappropriate, he has to stay as Peter Pan. He can't just be like, I'm gone. I have to assume there's some safeguards out there, but that's what's funny. And this is what's interesting to me is we went over to Reddit and I found just, people talking about it. And one of the individuals that comments is, I don't think this ends well for anyone. And what that means essentially is they're going to have to put safeguards. The roaming characters might not exist anymore because Peter Pan can't say something, but the attendant could easily say, all right, you're cut off. Sorry, Peter's got to go to Neverland, kind of what's going on. But the interesting thing that I found, and I want your take on it, is that the next comment was, I feel bad for this lady, but if she was into any sports, no one would bully her as hard as they are now. And the other person says, obsessive sports fans are just Disney adults wearing different merch.
That's true.
I think that is, I'm in both corners, right? I'm a sports fan. I'm a wrestling fan. I'm like all these things where wearing a jersey, going to training camp and waving to whatever. I'm not necessarily my cup of tea, but I know a lot of people, but nobody classifies them as complete like Disney adults and or why are you doing this? What are you so forth? I just thought that was an interesting take on this.
Or, if you have some type of celebrity or you're a big Taylor Swift fan and you go, and you try to just wait after the concerts to see that person, I feel like there's a lot of this within fandom, but I think the sports example hits particularly different because it is just a fandom, but it is more acceptable,
Right.
because people can understand that. They're these groups of guys and ladies, they'll go to, spend thousands of dollars to go to training camp to watch these guys practice.
Right. And there's a lot of people that are wait
questioning
afterwards.
that.
Right. So I thought that was funny and interesting to see. I mean, I guess all the Disney fans coming together, we're not trying to create tribalism, Disney versus sports, but it is very similar in many aspects. But if your favorite basketball player, football player or whatever was going to be walking around just your local park every single day and you're a giant fan, maybe it would be pretty obsessive to go try to meet them every single day. I do think that would be kind of weird. But at the end of the day, we're in a very similar circumstance where this person is paid to be here, and if you want to go meet them for a little bit and get out the heck out of the way, I wouldn't necessarily bully. But there are scenarios. The other thing that I watched the other day, I found it was Internet Oddities on YouTube, and they had an episode called "The Dark Side of Disney's Micro Celebrities." And it was all about bloggers and this and that and so forth. But the one there was a section in there that talked about the lady who would make money by live streaming the Casey Corner piano player. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I'm seeing this. Now, I'm assuming the community has thoughts on that.
Well, I thought it was it's one of those other things where you're kind of making money off of somebody else, and the Internet Oddities YouTube does a good job explaining it. But I saw it come up on a thread where it's just basically, and this is very common, sadly. There is a woman over at Walt Disney World that has an obsession with the piano player and would live stream his performances. And they're basically comparing against Tony versus this lady. And she says, I think the Casey's Corner streamer is worse because it's not even someone portraying a character where you could say that she got caught up in the story. It's just full out harassing a random musician. And what this person does is just sits there and records it. And I remember seeing it on Facebook. And I'm like, why do I keep seeing this guy? And it's great because the piano player is super talented and impressive.
Very talented.
Right. But somebody essentially is monetizing that person in their talent. And this guy doesn't get any money for it. She goes live and gets comments and stuff. And yes, she's sharing what this guy is doing with everyone else, but not by his consent at all. So and you just see this lady always sitting there and recording. And I remember I went to record piano player when we were there just for little clips of B-roll and stuff. And I felt odd. I felt awkward. I'm like, yeah, I know he's doing this thing, but I don't know. It seems like it was a little step too far, but yeah, it was an interesting, I urge everybody out there, if you're looking for a nice little watch, The Dark Side of Disney's Micro Celebrities was an interesting watch on YouTube and brings all types of fun things to play. But I don't know, Peter Pan girl, I'm sure she doesn't even want to be called that, but that's unfortunately what the internet has deemed her.
We're calling her Tony now. Everybody deserves compassion and respect.
Yeah, well, I do want to hear what everybody's thoughts are, essentially, on this whole thing. Is there any evidence that she's taken it too far? Or do you think that the friendly Disney community was attacking somebody? I don't know. I don't know what stories to take on this.
Energía baja, falta de concentración, niebla mental. You might be dehydrated. Gatorade Zero Powders han sido diseñados científicamente para ayudarte a mejorar el balance de hidratación en el cuerpo. hechos con la mezcla número 1 de electrolitos sin colores ni sabores artificiales. Shop now online or at retailers nationwide. Gatorade hydrates better than water. Is it in you? Signos de dehidratación leve y moderada. Consulta a tu médico si los síntomas persisten.
I get so many headaches every month.
It could be chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those who have 14 or fewer headache days a month. Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor. Visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
So good, so good, so good.
New fall arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off brands like Vince, Steve Madden, Kate Spade New York, and Boss. Stock up on the latest trends like animal print, lace, and suede. Join the Nordy Club for free to unlock exclusive discounts, shop clearance, and new arrivals before anyone else, and so much more. Plus, you can buy online and then pick up your order at your favorite Rack store. It's fast and free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
But there is another story that I think everybody also has opinions on, Lauren. I think you might have found this one and shared it with me. That's kind of taken the rounds. It seems like there's some races going on in Walt Disney World.
Okay. So this is it's hard to believe if you've not heard about it, but the viral video that it just resurfaced, because I believe this was initially from a couple years ago, and these are, I would say, young adult women who were renting ECVs, so electric convenience vehicles, or and there's tons of ECVs for different reasons at Disney World. And they rented them from the theme park, and there's videos online of them racing and just, total shenanigans. I'm not sure why this 2024 video just resurfaced, but this one was taken over at Animal Kingdom. And again, I was like, Eric, have you seen
Yeah.
this? Is this real?
Yeah. I think that's always been a problem. I mean, as frequent visitors, you do see the scooters all over the place, and I think at this point in time, you can rent them. I think they're like $65 maybe at the parks. You can get them at water parks. You can have them. I mean, there was like third parties. We have yet to do any of, we've never rented a scooter. We understand the importance of the mobility issues, and I think it's great that they're available. Like we always said, hey, if we took your dad or someone else that can't walk as much around the parks, this would be a great option.
And I was in a wheelchair at one point when I had a broken foot, and they have services for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things I was always scared of is you're going to run somebody over. I'm like, with a wheelchair, I can stop. I can push you. Yes, it's a little less convenient. But with these things, because kids run out of nowhere, there are just massive amounts of people. The way you got to get around queues, you have to be pretty good at driving this. And I'm like, I don't know. But it seems to me that there is somewhat abuse in this. There is no requirement to showcase that you need this, which I guess from a disability standpoint, I don't even know how you would do that. But anybody can get a scooter. And I guess if you decide that, hey, we're going to get scooters and we're going to race down Main Street, or we're going to play bumper cars, or we're going to do whatever to make a viral video or just to have fun, I can see this becoming a giant problem. And people have their opinions on that as well.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest opinion that I was seeing online was that people were like, are these women renting these, taking them away from somebody that would actually need the ECV for mobility purposes?
Right. I think that's where I was kind of seeing a lot. Now, granted, I think it is dangerous There was another video that kind of resurfaced. I think it's over at Epcot, and they were like calling themselves the Scooter Crew, and it
Yeah, I'm like,
literally
is
was.
that like a thing? Like they're actually are they just making videos about this, or was this a one-off? Like with
I think this
with
was
the
a one-off.
Scooter Crew?
These guys,
Okay.
yeah, these guys were getting attacked hardcore. I don't see what they were doing as. I mean, if they were doing this the entire time, but they kind of made a circle and they were like doing like a little circle powwow with all the scooters. So I could see that. That's obviously a safety hazard and concern, and I'm sure Disney would have stopped that real quick if they would have saw it. I don't know if these people were necessarily causing as much chaos as maybe the bumper car girls, but of course this created an issue. And I'm not going to judge anybody's ability or not ability to walk or do this. I'm not going to say anything like, hey, just because there's 7 of them all in the same group, they shouldn't have rented scooters. But we do also want to look at the fact that like the more scooters out there, that is going to cause a lot more hindrance in terms of you have a row of 7 scooters going by. That seems dangerous to me. It seems like there could be a backup. But like you were saying, a lot of it came down to people saying, hey, you know, they do run out. Like I think we found a couple form here from Sarah Sizzle on Twitter says, if a truly disabled person is not able to rent a scooter at Disney, this is why. And you see a whole, 7, 8 people that decided to rent them and ride around. And I think Braden went on there on Twitter, says changing consumer habits are going to force Disney to limit scooters. Like, so what's happening is if this becomes a thing where you rent scooters and you make videos and they go viral and you make a little bit of money off of it or whatever, people are going to start renting scooters to do this kind of stuff. There'll be some type of scooter challenge, this, that, and so forth. And I don't know what Disney could do. What could Disney do to stop this? I don't think there's much they could from a disability standpoint, right?
Right. I mean, like people were suggesting that Disney should require a doctor's note to rent an ECV. And the critics are, they always are saying stuff like if you're able-bodied, they should be walking because if not, the walkways, like you had mentioned, get crowded. And then it makes it more challenging for everybody. But I do want to say that it is important that, not all mobility issues like you can see. So like that it makes it more challenging. So, you haven't walked in people's shoes, but I can see both sides of this. Like anytime something is being abused and videos are going viral, like Disney is watching, they're listening, and they pay attention, and they could be cracking down like what we see with the DAS passes.
Right. Well, I see the Codfish Ball on Twitter basically says they do run out of scooters when parks are busy. So a shortage directly impacts those with mobility issues who need them. People don't realize that it's not all fun and games to navigate the parks on a scooter. You do really need to exercise an abundance of caution. And I think that's the truth is like, that's the reason why we decided to push you. When you had a broken foot, we were pushing you around because I'm like, we're not, and the batteries die. You got to charge them. You got to figure this out. And don't get me wrong. It was lovely. The one time you were walking around, on your soft cast in the Emporium, and I got to sit in your wheelchair out in front on Main Street and just kind of relax for a second. It is nice to be able to sit around when you're used to be walking and so forth like that. But if there are limitations on that and there is and there is dangers, let's not make this a habit. Although they make wonderful videos and wonderful conversation points. I won't villainize anybody, but let's not, even if you are needing it, don't be racing. And I know how many times like I've almost got hit by people that are just speeding along. Like you got to go at the pace of traffic, man. You got to go with the strollers. You got to go with like, even if you're in one of these bad boys, you're not more powerful than us now. So.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. There is definitely a downside to that too. And I saw people talking about how they like saw families like renting an ECV and then they would just all like take turns driving, I guess when their feet would get tired versus just sitting down. Yeah, so
I don't know, man. I just feel like you're at Walt Disney World. If you can walk, you gotta do the rest. You gotta sit on a bench like the rest of us, sit on the floor. Like, I think those
remember
are.
when we were training for going, like we were going to
yeah.
the parks in the middle of the summer for the first time. This was only like a couple years ago. And we're like, it's going to be extremely hot and humid. And so we were like walking every day, like training to be able to do that.
Well, you take
So,
midday
it
breaks.
is,
There's plenty of places to sit.
yeah.
I think taking away a mobility vehicle from somebody that would rely on it. And I don't know the process. I mean, like, I guess if you really were in a scenario where like you absolutely had it, and I guess you wouldn't take it to chance to go to the theme park and be like, do you have one available for us? You would have it strapped on the back of your car, or you would have it delivered, what have you. But I just think that sucks if you're like, hey, we don't really need this, but it's a convenient thing and we're willing to pay for it, and then you take away from someone else. But I don't think that the real villain comes in. I thought Ryan Miller made a very great comment on the post, and it says the real villains are the ones hauling in wagons. This is Walt Disney World, not the Oregon Trail. I thought they banned these years ago.
I thought they banned them too, but I will say I've seen some of the wagons coming back. The wagons also got out of control.
Right.
Because like people were like full on making them like mini parade floats where you have Cinderella's carriage, and they were really, really big, and they took up a lot of space, and some of the walkways like we talked about are tight. But that was a funny comment.
Now, I mean, I listen. Once again, it'll all go back. If you need a wagon and you can get a doctor's note or you can get a DAS pass for your wagon, power to you. But at the end of the day, there's a certain age where this kid's got to walk, my friends, and you just got to have them walk. So we don't get to be watching our iPad and having a home theater in the back of a wagon and rolling down Main Street. So whatever, to each their own. But yeah, there were rules around that. We'll just be interested to see if there's going to be any other rules that come about this. And either or, at the top half of the show, will we start seeing more attendance in Disneyland? Will some of the characters be less free roaming? Are there going to be limitations? And from a scooter perspective, what are we going to see? And that's kind of what we're keeping an eye out. You guys are all talking about it, so I would be interested to see what Disney is going to do to react.
Yes, but I will say, bringing this thing full circle, like you don't know what's going on with people in their individual lives and their individual situations. Like, just practice some kindness, as you're going to the parks. There's just so much, frustration that I've noticed more of the last couple years, but just keep that in mind. Anywho, that does it for this week's episode of Diz and Hers. For more, make sure you're hitting up DizandHers.com. There you'll find articles, episodes, and updates. And if Disney survived, make sure to subscribe.
All right, guys. And remember, watch what you post. You might end up in next week's episode. Thanks for listening.